Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm full stack Laravel developer, and today I would like to demonstrate an error that the ordinary programmer would meet, which is called circular dependency. For that, let's take a look at the code. Let me put myself in the corner, and here we're gonna take a look at the website that I'm working on, and all of a sudden two links, these two, stopped working. And let's make it a little interesting and a little riddle and find out what's actually wrong. We see some errors here, but none of them is actually related to our subject. They are just the WebSocket errors that I didn't start. So we just delete it and take a look at the real problem. When we press at the link, we get the error. It says error empty response. It's basically saying we knocked the server but didn't get any proper result from it. And the next error doesn't really tell us much thing. So in this kind of situations, we go to the Laravel logs. Let's open the logs, and we find out that it's completely empty, which means it kind of seems like it never even touched the project. And after some time of clicking here and there, looking at putting some bunch of DDs that never shows anything, because it's not actually like even coming there, we're gonna decide to go to the Docker container and take a look at the logs there. So here we are in the container logs. Let's delete it beforehand to see the errors clearly. And we click the link and take a look at what's going on. And here we kind of actually at last see some error from the server side. It says Warren exited. It says just some PID server stuff that we are not interested in. Doesn't really tell anything. So we are basically stuck. What is the problem might be? And open a research. After spending some time on it, I found out that problem is within deep inside. And for that, let's take a look at our classes. So the project itself is built in a way that the controller uses services for the constantly useful code. It puts the all logic to the services, and services, on the other hand, puts the database fetching methods to the repository. So open observation, you find out that in order to use order controller, Laravel needs to inject order service in the construct, even though this service is not even use it, and all of a sudden I'm directly calling a DB query from controller, which is wrong, so excuse me for this one. But nevertheless, what Laravel does is it injects this order service to the controller, and it's just used somewhere. So far it seems fine. So further on, our investigation goes to the order service, and order service, we can see that it's dependent on a bunch of classes, 3 classes, which uses throughout its work in the class. And really, you might not see any problem so far either. And then I think we can further on go maybe to these classes, take a look at their construct, and without further ado, if we go to the shopcar service, we're gonna find out that shopcar service, on its other hand, dependent on order service. So what we got here is that order service is dependent on a shopcar service, and shopcart service is dependent on a order service. So these two classes are dependent to each other, which puts the Laravel's container dependency resolver to the infinite loop. It tries to resolve each class entering to each other infinitely, and in the end up crashing the server. So what do we have to do? Of course, first of all, we do not make classes that's dependent on each other in their construction. But it doesn't mean we can't use those classes. It just means we can't use them in construct. What we can do instead? Let's take a look at the resolvement of that problem. For example, if we go to the shopcart service, we see that order service is no longer in the construct. So where do we use the order service that we needed to use? And we see that now order service is injected inside the method on a runtime, not in the constructor. And it's injected and dependency is resolved by the global method that Laravel provides, which is called app. So when we do app, we just call the class, and we don't need to give any constructor dependencies to order service. We just call the class, and Laravel does its best to resolve and give the required classes automatically. The same way it works for resolve too. Whatever word you like, you can use either of them. So basically you do dependency injection on a method based in a runtime and call that service where you need. The cumbersome it gives that mostly we put our classes in the constructor because we use them a lot throughout our class structure. But since they are two classes that depend on each other, unfortunately we need to call them in every single method to avoid the problem of a circular dependency. That's all for today. I hope it was helpful and useful for you. Thank you very much. Bye. By the way, I forgot to show you guys that the links works now since we fixed the problem. Now our two classes doesn't depend on each other. Our links works fine. Thanks. Now really bye.